Copy data from existing table to new table part 3. In previous or second part, we have seen following points. Add constraint to already created table. That is manager table we have already created. It is copied from, it is created from employee table, and we have added constraint. So we so when table was created, at that time the table created and some data from employee table or some rows from employee table copied to new table, and but at that time constraint were not there, so we have added externally the constraint to the manager table. So we have seen that primary key constraint, we have added primary key constraint, unique key, then constraint, then default constraint, then not null, check constraint. So above points we have discussed in or seen in second part. So today we will see to delete constraint to already created table. Suppose in second part we given constraint to already created manager table. So now if we want some constraint to drop, or or there may be possibility that wrong constraint applied, so to remove or drop constraint and check the constraints are dropped properly or not, we will see all these things in today's video. Topics in today's session: drop constraints from already created table, that is manager table. So drop constraints from already created manager table, that primary key, then unique key constraint, then default constraint, not null constraint, and check constraint. So let's start. This is our manager table, and here this is primary key, then unique key, then check constraint, then default constraint. Then we can see here also, we can see here that not null, it here not null, not null. So if we see here this table, this is the manager table and it is the structure of manager table. So this is the manager table, then this is all the constraint type, check constraint on column, then the condition salary less than 20,000, then default on column city New York, then primary key requester EMP ID for column EMP ID, then unique constraint for email, and only we cannot see not null here, but it is already applied to here. We can see here we can see not null to here, not null, we can see here not null, not null. So now we will drop all the constraints step by step, but first we will start from second, that deleting unit constraint or drop unique constraint. First we will see the table, select star from manager, execute table. Here are the records. Till here we have given the records, and now we can add one new records, or we can see further how to delete and how to, if these concepts are deleted or not, we can delete or sorry drop, we can see further. So today we will see how to drop those constraints, and if those constraints are dropped properly or not, we will see in today's session. So this is the table, this is our table, these are the records, and now first we remove or drop unique constraint from already created table. So unique constraint, we have applied unique constraint to unique table manager email. So for email we have given unique constraint, unique table manager. This is our constraint here. So if we see here, this is the constraint, and also here we can see this is our constraint here, unique. So first we remove the constraint or drop the constraint. So this is the syntax for removing or dropping the unique constraint. Alter table, table name, then drop constraint, constraint name. Then so this is the query. Alter table manager, drop constraint, unique table, UK table manager underscore email. So this is our uh, name of the constraint, and first we have given this name, and so this similar name when we added unique constraint, that time this was the name, and same name we have to apply here. We have to apply here same name for dropping. So alter table manager, drop constraint UK, this table manager tbml manager underscore email. So if we execute this query, we can see here, refresh, always refresh the table and see this table, because there is employee table also. So keys, so constraints. So here their unique, so unique constraint or unique key has dropped here, and we can see here in design it is dropped. So if we see here in structure, here it was present here, it was dropped. So now we can check. For email we have given this. So in table, our table, there are select star from manager. If we see the table, there are ABC. This is the email abc at the rate gmail.com abc. So both the emails are present in previous records. So if we give these records, and these is if we add these records or rows with same email abc at the rate gmail.com and abcd. So if there is constraint, then it will not allow to add the row, but if there is no constraint, then it will be executed successfully. So effect of constraint, so we can check the effect of constraint here. So that constraint has dropped, so we can easily add the records here. If we see here abc abc abcd abc, so unique constraint has dropped successfully and checking of unique constraint has done successfully. So now we will drop default constraint, drop or remove. So this is the default constraint, it is for city. So by default, if there is no city and any record is added without city, then by default newer city will be there. So this is the default constraint, is the purpose of default constraint. So if we want to drop default constraint, so we have, for syntax, see the video of default constraint in this channel. So in default constraint we have given syntax also, and other explanation of default constraint will be available there. So whole description or whole information about default constraint will be available there. So please refer that video. So here directly we execute the query alter table manager. This is table name, and this is the constraint name dfct. The constraint name must be same when we applied the, let's say this is the dfct, so it must be same. So alter table manager drop constraint dfct. So query executed successfully. So we can see here, refresh, then we can see here constraints. Here we can see default constraint. So with query, default constraint has removed. If we see here the default constraint, here we can't see default constraint in structure also. So it is removed from design and structure, but we execute. So this is the record, and here we have not given any city. So in when we added the default constraint, at that time if we not given city, in insert table insert command, while inserting the rows, at that time if we have not we if we not provide any city, at that time default New York City added. But now we give here, here is not city there. So we can see here, if we see select start from manager, after removing the default constraint, here null is entered. So default constraint has removed successfully for this column, or otherwise it will be New York. But if it was if it is present at that time, it will it add if there previously there was default constraint, at that time New York was added when there was no city in insert query, but now it is added null. So successfully default constraint has removed. Not null constraint remove drop to already created table. So here we can see not null. Here for emp name there is not null, for username there is not null. But if we try to see here, there is no, we can't see not null. And if we try to see here, here also we name varchar. So here also there is no not null, but we can see here not null, here not null, not null. So syntax for syntax, see the video. Sorry, not null constraint adding to already created table. Not null constraint remove drop to already created table. So this is the syntax: alter table table name, then alter column column name, data type. So data type null. So alter table manager, alter column emp name varchar 50 null. So if we make not null to null, we can see here this is not null. If we see refresh, and then this, now it becomes not null. So we can give null value here. So if we insert this record, here we have given space, then here we have not provided any value. So for name there is no emp name here. Here there is no emp name. Here there is no emp name. So if we execute, a query executed successfully. So here we have not giving any. No, so here we have not giving emp name. So now here also we have given null. And select star from manager. First we have given space, here is digit space, then here null, then here null, here is null here. This null, when we there is no emp name, this kind of null applied here. So and when we pass null, it is already null, entered null. So if we not give any name, at that time this record will in or this row will insert in the table. So there is no not null constraint here. So easily without any name, uh, emp name record is inserted into the table. So that's not null constraint remove drop successfully. So remove drop check constraint, sorry, remove drop check constraint from already created table. Syntax alter table name, drop constraint name. So we can see here, this is the check constraint. Alter table manager, alter table name, drop constraint name. Alter table manager, drop constraint ck salary. Execute. So here this is the constraint. So if we see here, so here drop constraint, this constraint, and also we can see here sp help panel in structure. We can see that only primary key constraint is there and all the constraints. So last constraint check constraints is also constraint is also dropped successfully. So it is a constraint for salary, that salary, if salary is less than or equal to 20,000 at that time, if salary is less than 20,000 at that time, constraint will not allow, at the time constraint not allowed to enter the record. That was the constraint previously, but now we can see if we add this salary here, we can see 20,000 even for 20,000, even for 21,000 it is executed. If we give here 20, so suppose we 50,000 and this is 17. So, so we add this record and this is 15,000, salary is 15,000. So this is also added successfully. And okay, so we can see here stable. So if we execute this, if we execute this, we can see here 20,000 inserted, then 21,000 inserted, 50,000, 50,000, 15,000 inserted. So like that, if there is less than 20,000, then 15,000 inserted. If we want to add here, suppose we add here 28 and here 50, 10,000, sorry 10,000. These fields are there is no constraint, so If they are same, no matter. Only see here. So we can see here 10,000 is also inserted here. So if we give here, there is primary key. Here there is primary key. There is primary EMP ID is 28 or 8. If we try to add this record, if we try to add this record again, query compiled with errors. So violation of primary key. So cannot insert. So primary key is still there. So we will see how to remove primary key. So here is primary key. So if we want to drop, so if we want to drop the primary key, so alter table manager drop constraint EMP first. Alter table manager, then drop constraint EMP ID. Very incorrect syntax. So here there is incorrect syntax near here. So without this query, no, it is not dropped successfully. So alter table manager drop primary key. It is not. So here there is problem. So if we give the name here, this name, key name or constraint name. So alter table manager drop constraint with name. No, PK manager is not drop constraint message. So drop primary key. So here drop to, then new query edited window. This is the automatic query. See here we have given here drop to. Script key as drop to, then new query editor. Script key as drop to new query editor. Then here this is the query. So if we execute this query, command completed successfully. We can see here no primary key. If we see here, there is no primary key. So primary key successfully dropped. If we see structure of the table, if we see the structure of table, see here, no edit, no. Here only primary. This is not primary key, but the proper primary key dropped successfully. So check, we check the record with ID, EMP ID. So if there is record with previous EMP ID 28, this is the previous EMP ID. So if we give here query is executed successfully, if we give here 8, 8 is also in present in previous record. So 8 EMP ID is also present. So if we see here, select star from manager, if we see here, look here, the ID is shown here, 8 is present here, 8 is present here, 28 is present, 28. If we give 1 EMP ID 1, it will also execute. So now one row affected, so it will also insert the row with same ID. So here, so now all the constraints are drops, all the constraints dropped successfully. So we have dropped the constraint successfully, and we have checked that those constraints are not working. So the effect is no, so they are rarely dropped. So there is no necessity to drop all the constraints, but sometimes some constraints, there may be some constraints which are given there may be possibility that constraints, we want to give consent for email name column, but we have given to the other column. Then we want to give the consent to salary column, then check consent to salary column, but instead of that we apply the consent to email. There may be possibility to apply the wrong consent to wrong column. So in that case we want to delete the constraint. So drop the constraint. There is the necessary to drop the applied constraint. In that case, first drop the constraint, the wrong constraint for which is applied to the wrong column. Then after that, again alter or with adding. In We have seen in second part like that we can give the uh, I could correct consent to correct column, or we can give the required consent to required column. So that's all for today, and it's okay now. And all the series we have seen how to copy the whole table, and whole table and table structure, and create the new table, and also copy whole data and add the consent externally and remove the consent. So and this is end of this series, and now okay, thank you. That's all. Thank you.